Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Listen, over the course of your life, your personality will exponentially change. If you're living properly, you'll be a lot of different people over the course of your life, because everything in our experiences really adapts who we are and who we become. I was not born the person that I am today. I built the person that I am today, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And in my opinion, I think that that's the way that it should be. We should be growing and healing and adapting and changing. When I was younger, I had so little concept of self. I would say like no concept of self, honestly. I completely lived for the validation of the people around me. The people that I considered my inner circle were the people who determined my worth, because I gave them that power, not because they took anything from me. And that's something else that's really important about this. I don't think that our power can be taken away by anyone. I think that it's something that just exists dormant within us. That's both beautiful and really annoying, because it means that we have to hold ourselves accountable for the way that we feel and for where we're operating from. And there's positives and negatives to that, right? Because a lot of the times when we're experiencing something that might feel painful or might like take us out of the game, so to speak, we want to be able to be like, hey, that was really terrible. And we want to be able to ruminate in it. As human beings, we often put blame on things because that's what makes sense to us, like someone needs to be accountable. But if we take it into our own hands, that's when we realize how much control we actually have over our own life and our own reality. In The Voice of Knowledge by Don Miguel Ruiz, he talks a lot about how we're all living in our own separate stories. Basically, we're all artists curating our own art pieces, which is our lives. And he mentions that there are characters in all of our stories, but we're not in control of their stories. They are living their own authentic story. And we can either accept that and understand it, or we can try to change them the way that we can change ourselves, which will never happen, because realistically, they are in their own story. They're on their own path. They're meant to change their own story and rewrite it if they don't like the way that it is. And I find that to be so fascinating, because it makes me think not so much of my inner circle or people that I've been romantically involved with, but it makes me think of my mother and my father, where their stories really began and where they come from, what makes them the type of parents that they are and the type of people that they are. Our parents really just create this perception of what they deem as right from wrong. And as we grow with them, we learn to fit into that box of right from wrong. And that does not mean that the way that we were raised is with objective rights and wrongs. That just means those are the domestications and conditions that we were raised with. And if you're coming here from another app, you probably know that I post a lot about authenticity. And that authenticity that I always talk about exists beneath those domestications and attachments and conditions that you were either A, raised with by your parents, and then B, perpetuated through your relationships in your life. Because we all know that the relationships that we seek out as we get into our older years and we start making our own decisions are really just a reflection and a projection of our inner child and what our childhood looked like. I always talk about when I was younger and how I had no sense of self, and I want to talk a little bit about that because sometimes I feel like personal examples really help. I remember having this solid, or what I considered solid at the time, group of friends, okay? This is what I mean when I talk about no one being able to take your power away. My worth and my validation existed within that friend group, within the acceptance that I got from that friend group, because I gave them that power, because I wanted them to tell me that I was worthy, because I was so scared to go inward. I just didn't know it at that time. And at that age and at that point in my life, I genuinely thought that good things happened to people by chance. I thought that people who became really successful or really rich or had really amazing relationships got there because it just happened to them, it happened upon them, and that my luck was never really like that. When I was younger and I was seeking out validation through everyone around me, I had literally thought that my life just wasn't made for that. I thought that those things would never happen for me, all the things that I desired, because I felt like it was so out of reach. And the problem with that is that, one, I didn't even really know my desires. And two, I surrounded myself with people who thought the same thing. And it's not just that I didn't align with those friends and that quote unquote makes them bad people. That is not true. But they were not good friends to me. And they never were. And me not tuning into myself and understanding my own authenticity and realizing, hey, I deserve better than this, kept me in that perpetual cycle of looking for validation from people who didn't care about me and then associating my worth with below the dirt, because that's how I was treated, and the people who were treating me that way were my source of validation. So it just was this endless, ridiculous cycle of me self-deprecating, self-shaming, and absolutely hating myself because of the way other people felt about me. And I can't stress this enough. I was just as guilty in those situations. I was guilty of accepting that kind of treatment, pushing myself to these limits with people pleasing and wanting to be accepted so bad that I would have these explosive reactions to things where I genuinely was not myself. I don't even know who that was. And I always joke with people and say I've lived so many lives, and it's true because I've been so many different people. And the good thing about life is that you have that freedom. You have the freedom to choose and to change and to be who you want to be. You just have to acknowledge that you have that freedom. And the reason why I titled this video Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes is literally because I was doing that for so long. I was just accepting the bare minimum because it was easier than me having to accept that maybe these people weren't my friends. Maybe I would have to be alone for a while and really decide what friendship looks like to me. Maybe I would have to be single for a while and decide what love actually looks like to me, and not what love looked like to me based off of how my parents raised me and what my relationship with them really looked like. I'm 28 now, and there's about a decade between now and the days that I'm talking about. But that doesn't mean that I haven't had people in my life since then that I've kind of made excuses for or allowed to take charge of my worth. It does feel like when you were raised without the idea of self-worth and without knowing how to properly love yourself, that every day is going to be a work in progress. But there's a lot of beauty to that. Every day you get to choose to love yourself, and you will discover new things about yourself, and you will discover new versions about yourself, and you'll get to see how your body and your soul and your mind really adapts to the people around you. And then you get to choose whether or not that's something that you want to be around, whether or not those are things that you want to accept. And I think that that's a really beautiful reality. I used to harbor so much hate because I constantly felt like I was in fight or flight. I always felt this lack of control over my own life, and that was because I just didn't realize how much control I actually had. We are so scared to lose people sometimes because we fear being alone. We fear that we won't find someone like that again. We fear that we won't have another opportunity at love or good friendship or a good relationship with our parents. So we accept treatment that we get in place of looking for better or asking for better or striving for better for ourselves. The most important thing to take away from this video is that if you continue to put yourself around people that don't appreciate you or that simply you don't align with, they don't have to be bad people. They might just not align with you and where you desire to go. You will win stupid prizes, babe. You will stay in the same endless loop of things not working out for you and you not understanding why. Don't fight the universe. Don't meet the universe with resistance when something is being pulled from you. Allow it to go. If it is meant to come back, it will. And I know that might sound corny and it might be really annoying to hear, but whatever you're going through, trust me when I tell you, you don't know how your story ends yet. And you need to allow the universe to show you that. And guess what? If you don't like it, if you don't like the way your life is going, you can advocate to make those changes because it is your story. You are the artist. Play good games, win good prizes. Play abundant games, win abundant prizes, okay? Not stupid games, stupid prizes, babe. We don't need to do that. Okay, I love you.